Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trin. Hello and welcome to episode 205 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is converting prospects into clients. Now, I want to share this with you because I remember when I started in 2015 inside of the online business, when I was coaching men with PB City, I was struggling so bad and I was butting my head against the wall because back then Facebook leads were really ridiculously cheap. And I remember getting a ton of leads, but every single time I jumped onto a call, I didn't feel good. And then not feeling good on the call made me nervous for every call, and it made me anxious, and then it created a lot of beliefs that I spend all day just calling people and not making any sales, which ultimately sucks. But I want to share this with you because if you're a trainer and you're struggling with converting, prospects into clients, then it's probably a thing that you're going through that I went through as well. And I remember Kerry would be at work and I'd be outside in my backyard just tanning. I'd be half naked. I'd be doing my sales calls half naked because I was like, what can I do to make this process much more fun, much more enjoyable? There's nothing worse than getting onto a sales conversation with a client, spending 30 minutes at your computer trying to get all set up, and then they don't show it. So I just thought, okay, cool. If I'm going to work with this, I'm going to work the clients around me. So I had my headphones in with my phone, and I remember it because how I used to get leads on Facebook at the very beginning, and how I got into the whole thing was running what they call a huge opportunity ad on Facebook. And I'm sure you've seen this before, hey, it's a huge opportunity. I'm looking for 10 men who I can help. Click here to apply now. And what would happen is they'd fill out a form, and then what would happen is I would begin to call them. And this was how naive of me in terms of, I was sold into this by a business mentor who just told me that, hey, if I sign up one client a week, it's $5,000 a week to my business. But really what they meant was that it was $97 a week for 52 weeks, which they didn't talk about that, but I'll save that for another podcast. But the thing that got me so frustrated was just having that sales process, because I remember just calling all my leads constantly. And, if you fill out your leads on Excel, I was just getting a ton of red. It just looked like red, no. And it's super frustrating. And I truly believe that if you're in this position right now and you're truly frustrated, you don't feel like your business is growing, the thing for me was just having that persistence, because I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to the gym. There is no way. So I need to figure stuff out. And the first thing I did was I needed to make sales more fun. And what I realized was that a lot of the prospects that I used to talk to over the phone, they didn't know who I was. Just this 5'6" Asian dude in Melbourne. They didn't see me. They saw an ad on Facebook. And back then I didn't run any video ads, so it was all image ads. And what would happen was they'd get onto the phone with me and the positioning was all wrong. Because if you think about it, I would call them up. They would say, hello. And I'd be like, hey, it's Lynn from PB City. And straight away, I just felt resistance. And I remember it was just feeling like an uphill battle. I had to regain. They would just go, what do you want? And that's fair enough, because ultimately I was cold calling them even though they opted in. So I'd begin with this, PB City, I'm calling you about your application, and I just want to see if now was a good time. And of course they'd be like, no, now's not a good time, can you call back? They'd hang up on me and all sorts of stuff. And I see this now and I kind of laugh because I know how many personal trainers go through this every single day because I talk to a ton. But how I got out of this situation, because if you're in this situation and maybe you do speak to a prospect and maybe they do open up with you, and then, you're able to speak to them, there's a few phases. The first phase is actually getting through that initial 2 minutes, building that rapport. The second phase is actually getting to the end of the spiel and then getting to the objection of they can't afford what you have. And there's a few things that I want to share over a few different podcast episodes, but this is the first thing. And this is what really, really helped me. It was maintaining authority and positioning. Now, the biggest thing that can kind of kill the whole sales process, if you go into a call and you chase them. Nobody likes to be chased. I didn't realize this at the time, but when I was single, I would play this game, and I'm pretty sure most boys do. And it's this game of not giving a shit, not giving a fuck, and not giving a fuck, but playing it cool. And the whole idea here is that we want to be able to play it cool, So, because we've got an amazing opportunity that can help them. Being needy never helps anybody. So, especially, if you're doing sales right now and you feel like you're needy on every call, you're going to break the sale. They can feel the energy. It's infectious. It will come onto you. And so what I needed to understand was that, I needed to just chill out. I needed to base the sales call based around my life and not have it dictate and run me. But also positioning and framing is very important, because if you come onto the phone, and I was coming onto the phone and I was like, hey, it's Lynn here. I wanted to talk to you about your conversation. And immediately your prospects and my prospects were thinking, well, if you're so good, why are you calling me? And if you're so good at what you do and you're amazing at what it is that you do and you're marketing online. So there's a lot of different barriers that come up inside of your prospect's mind. And today, in the next couple of podcasts, I want to be able to share that with you so that you can break down the barriers, to try to help you think more strategically, but understand what it is that you need to do if you're going to get to a position. So if you understand right now that you need to maintain authority, you need to maintain your positioning, you need to maintain, I'm good and you're chasing me. And if we maintain that frame control, then we immediately just go, hey, have you, and it all begins with this. Most trainers suffer simply because they don't have enough of what I like to call a takeoff ramp. Okay, if you imagine a plane trying to take off, and that plane, in order for it to take off, it needs a longer runway. Okay, now the longer the runway, the better the chance it has at taking off. It needs to reach full speed. Now, if you're trying to get a client to come on with you and work with you, and you have not built enough trust, you have not built enough desire, you have not built up enough authority, then it's not going to take off. Then you're going to find yourself trying to find like a diamond inside or a needle inside of a haystack. And the biggest thing that I used to do was, number one, not take sales so seriously. So I'd be tanning out in the park and the backyard. But also, number two, before I got onto every single call, okay, I would have a follow-up process. I'd always have like a follow-up process. Number one, let's please confirm your call. Number two, here's a case study of X, here's a case study of Y, here's a case study of Z. And I would literally make them an offer to get onto the call with me. So on this call today, it is worth $197. We're going to do a consultation. We're going to figure out exactly where you are, where you want to go. And ultimately, I'm going to share with you 3 things that you need to do right now that's stopping you. Now, if you accept this call, please book in a time, schedule your time, and meet up. And once they would schedule that call, I would be able to create desire by going, hey, we just wanted to make sure you're good for our call. Time is valuable and we want to start early. We've got 15 minutes for this call. So essentially what I was doing was I was creating a longer runway. Okay, because a lot of the times, and it's just these small automation features that really, once you get installed inside of your business, it reduces the hassle. And I know so many personal trainers don't do it because they don't know how, or simply because they don't have the confidence to do it. And it's always just going, okay, number one, you're going to make the sale. You need to own the frame, which means you need to value your time, which means you need to go, okay, if you're not a good fit, we got to get off the call ASAP. Because as the business owner, as the fitness entrepreneur, okay, as the person running the show, you need to value your time. You need to invest your time in marketing. You need to invest your time in systems. You cannot, okay, be on a sales call with somebody that hasn't passed your criteria, that hasn't ticked off the boxes. And so I want to share this with you because it's a big, big hack that ultimately transformed me, my business, my state. And I know that it's going to help you as well. So especially if you're feeling right now, you're talking to a lot of unqualified prospects. Number one, start with valuing your time. Go, I will not. Okay. And every single person has a standard. Every single fitness coach has a standard. And you want to know why? Well, because when you're trying to sell somebody and they're going, I can't afford it, your standard's going to be like, well, you're not going to drop it down to $10. Can you afford $10? Okay, what if I give it to $1? Every single person has a standard. Your standard might be hundreds of dollars. Your standard could be 1,000. Your standard could be 5,000. Whatever that is, I want you to raise it today. Okay, and I want you to raise your standard and I want you to believe in it and go, okay, from now, I'm not going to talk to anybody who is not going to come to me. And if you make that your standard, the next question is you need to create a marketing system. The next problem you need to solve is asking yourself the question, well, how do I get people to show up? How do I create so much desire? What are the systems? What are the little bots? What are the messages that I can have in place to get this person to show up? And it all begins with just influence and persuasion. Very, very simple is maintaining frame control of the call, which means you control the call. You control positioning, and it's going to make your calls so much easier. So with that being said, my one little task, my one little gift for you today is, what are you going to add inside of your follow-up process today so that you can obviously get people to show up to your call. You can get them more pre-qualified, you can get them more indoctrinated, but more importantly, what are the standards that you're going to live by? What are you going to accept, and what aren't you going to accept? Because ultimately, if you accept anything, you'll get everything. Okay, you get the good, you get the bad, you get the ugly. But if you want to maintain and grow your business and grow your empire and live a life that you love, then you need to have some standards. So what are you going to accept today? Okay, and live by them, and then create follow-up systems to allow you to live by those standards. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.